Angular 19 is here. Now the standalone components are by default supplied and supported by the Angular application. So with these new latest Angular features, like so many things like signals, models, input output properties, refactoring, reusability, pipes, property and event binding. Of course, there is no big difference in the property and event binding. Definitely, along with that, behavior subject. With all these things, I have created a new project, and this completely having all the features whatever you need to practice in the Angular 19. So in this project we are going to see these features especially from the scratch. In this particular video I have implemented a complete end-to-end food cart kind of thing, so where we can add the product into the cart so that it can be identified as already in the cart, and we have that has been changed with its color, and you can increase the number of number of items per that cart, and the total is going to be displayed, and you can reduce the cart, and once it goes back to zero, automatically then that particular item will be identified without that. So along with that we will go for info page where this implements the routing. In this part we have implemented something like how do we implement the route, as well as how do you pass the data from one component to another component. And even in the cart also we have used something called behavior subjects. And before that also, whatever the necessary features are needed, for example I just change the branch from to do list. Okay, so here you, that's okay, even if it is on the left side, please don't mind. In this I have used all the necessary latest features like signals, model signals, input properties, output properties for refactoring and reusability, as well as pipes. All these kind of activities I have implemented in this. Before that also, property binding, event binding, for example undo, done, these all need property and event binding so perfectly. How this class will be binded with the expression, all these things have done. Even here we have implemented something called pipes with some small issues also I have introduced. Okay, so like this, even I have covered the basics from the scratch, so that this entire video will give you complete enclosure about Angular 19 based application development. Hope you will enjoy it. Watch till the end, and please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And if you really want one-on-one training, contact us for more information. I made lot of interview questions as well as other in-depth conceptual explanation videos, and they're all added in the description below. Please don't forget to see them, like them and watch them. And if you want any other topics, please comment below, and I try my best to make them, and I will keep available to you. Hope you like them. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. So let us try to set up the Angular application first. Before setting up the Angular application, first we need to go with Angular CLI. We have to install the CLI. So let me go for npm install. Let us see this. Npm install -g for global @ Angular /CLI and enter. First, it will try to install Angular CLI. Actually, I have Angular CLI, but it was little older version, so it installed the latest version as well. After installing it, we should be doing it. Okay. So here, the same kind of error you may experience. So for installing these things, sudo npm install hyphen G at the rate Angular slash CLI. So it should work. It is asking for password. Please give the password. If you are a Windows user, you may not experience this. So here added 93 packages and removed 23 packages and changed 203 packages in 4 seconds. And 52 packages are looking for funding. Oh, I'll see that. So once it is installed, Angular CLI, we have to create the application. So for creating application, ng new and new project, Angular19 project. So this is the project name I want to establish. So I would like to go with CSS without any doubt. Would you like to enable server side rendering and statistics right now? Okay, yes, let's go with that. Maybe you are unable to see what's that. I'm reading it. Would you like to use the server routing and app engine APIs for the server applications? Yes, let me install the complete one. So it must be installing all the router, everything. Once it gets installed, we can start using it. Actually, I got some package installation failed kind of thing. Maybe it is because of some internet issue. Okay, I don't know. But okay, fine. But once I identified that, I went to the respective folder, the project folder, and I started. Just I have typed npm install. So it installed the node modules and other necessary things. Now I need to start the application. So for that, go to the particular folder and just type npm start. Yeah, here details. No, okay. It is asking you would like to submit any issues to the server or not. So now the application is ready. And here I have, this is the URL what I need to use, and localhost 4200. We should get the response. Yes, we got the response from the Angular application. This is the basic application what we have. Now we can go and edit it in the next part. So now let us open this application in the Visual Studio Code so that we can start editing our application. Open the folder Angular19 PR. So it gives us this complete setup. So in this, our main focus is on SRC folder, especially on the app folder. So here in that app folder, you have a lot of things available here other than the module.ts. Everything is here. Okay, so routes are here, component is here. So this component and this entire setup is by default no standalone. I mean, no module system. These are all standalone components. I'm sorry, these are all standalone components without any modules. So earlier we used to have modules over here, but now we are not using any modules. So even you can change this change detection mechanism. Now we are not using zone.js. Anyways, we will come back to that. Hydration, all these things in the routes also, this is very clear and clean. Yes, everything is clear. Here, where is our component? Here is our component app.component.ts. This is the component. And this component, we have template URL as app.component.html. So this is the template. Whatever the output we are going to see, we are seeing here, that is actually coming from app.component.html. So you can select all and press H1. Welcome to Angular 19 version application development. So once we save it and once we see the output, yes, you can able to see the output here. So now this is how we just initiated. How do we change the first thing? How do we actually start our application development? So now we are not going to create any new special components or anything. Within the first component, we are going to see something like how to understand the property binding, two-way data binding, event binding. In that case, all these things first we will be looking into it. After that, we will go for the next aspect. So let us go through this documentation step by step. After creating and set up the Angular, we just need to start composing the components. So before composing the components of our own components, let us understand the components a bit. So this is a component. Basically, component is having four files over here. One is a TypeScript file. In fact, this is the place where we write the logic and all the configuration. And another one is a testing scenarios or whatever the test cases you would like to write to test on your component. And the HTML file is the place where you design the template, and CSS is the place where you define the CSS for this particular component. So in this component, there are again three sections. One is import section, where if you really want to define a component, you need this at the rate component decorator. So that should be imported from Angular core. And if you are having any dependents, or if you want to use some other components, external components, you need to import the component first, and then you have to provide that imports in the component decorator under the metadata. And right now, I don't want to use any router outlet, so I just remove it. I don't even want any imports here. So when you need, I will let you know, so that we will use it. Now, if I save it and see the output, there is no difference in the output. Yes, it is working well and good. And after that, this is the location. I mean, sorry, this is the selector, what you are looking at. So this selector is actually providing a name for your component. This is the name we use in another components. Or else, if you have created one more component and you want to use that component in this component, then definitely you need to use the other component selector as an element over here. So very soon you are going to see how it will work. And then the template URL. So this component should be having its own UI. That entire UI, that entire template will be defined in the in this file. If your template is very small, you need not to use template URL. Instead, you can make use of some simple H1 welcome to Edupoli Angular training. So now it is simple. So you need not to use a separate file. You can delete if you really want to delete also. If you don't want, you can delete this also. But don't take such harsh decisions right now. Let us use this as it is. And if you really want to apply any styles for this particular component, you can create them in the app component.css. So H1 open bracket, close bracket, color red. So now the H1 is, what happened? Yeah, here it is template. I need to use it as template URL. Yep. So now the H1 is shown in the red color. That's up to you. Whatever the styles you would like to write, you please make use of it. But right now I don't want any style. Leave it. Now the component is clear component, and ultimately after this component decorator which defined our metadata, we will have the component class. Basically, your component is a class with this properties and methods. So whatever the UI we are creating, for this UI, whatever the logic or data you required, that will be defined in this particular place. So I have defined a property called title with the value Angular 19. Instead of that, I would like to define it as Edupoli. So this particular title can be used directly here by using interpolation like this title title. So now you can see Edupoly is over here, right? So this title replaced that particular part. So this is called as interpolation, and we call it as data binding as well. And it is one-way data binding. So whatever the data we have in the component type, the component class file, class, that particular property we can able to access it in this template in interpolation. This is called binding. How do we bind the class variables or class properties into the HTML file? So this is the basic information about what is a component, and in the coming class topics, we are going to see how do we perform the other aspects of the component. Okay. So actually, we can create our own properties, which are reactive properties. Okay, this word is very nice word. Here they have used reactivity with signals. Okay, we'll come to that point. But before that, we can actually create a property like, for example, count, which is equal to 0. Imagine. And I can display that particular count in the template, something like this. For example, count is count. So this output will look like this. Yes, we'll get the count, no problem at all. But imagine I want to apply the what do you say, change the value after 2 seconds or something like that. So what will happen? So I'll use ng on init with set timeout. That means I want to execute this code after around 2 seconds. So after 2 seconds, this callback function will be executed, and this dot count plus plus, or else this dot count is equal to 140. Okay, fine. So what is my expectation is after 2 seconds, it is supposed to be changing this value to 140. So it took little time to compile, and after 2 seconds exactly, it is changed from 0 to 140. You can see the change over here. So here it is following a beautiful concept called change detection. So in fact, this is the template. Earlier it was 0. Am I right? In the beginning it was 0 because the count value is 0. After 2 seconds, this count value has been changed to 140. So the change detection mechanism will keep on having an eye on this particular count property. And whenever there is a change in the count property, it will immediately observe the change. And whatever the new value is, that new value will be replaced or what you say, changed in the UI, in the template file. So for that, this we need a concept called change detection mechanism, and for that we were using a library called zone.js. So now we are slowly keeping that aside, and we are no more using. We are not using that particular library anymore. So instead of that, we are actually going with the signals. So how these signals are actually being used, and how to create or how to use the signals for our change detection and updating the UI is going to be the big picture for Angular 19. Not only 19, from 17 onwards, they are encouraging us to do this. So from 17, we are using some new concept called signals. So let us create our variables as signal variables or reactive variables or reactive data. So they have given a very nice name that is called as what is it? Create and manage dynamic data with reactive way. So the word reactivity with signals. Okay, so let us use that. Let us see how does it work and how to use it. So whenever you are trying to create a new way, variable or new property for a data, instead of creating directly with 0 or assigning directly with 0, you have to create it as a signal. So you have to use signal from the core, of 0. So those people who are coming from React, they must have used already used state kind of things. So it is very much similar to it. So whenever you try to, if you really want to use this, if you really want to use this count variable in the template, you should call the function. So now this signal variable is not just the value, it is a object with a default function of count. It's an object, in fact. So this object is going to have the setters and getters. So if you call the method directly count as a method call, it will give you that output as value. So now I just saved it, and you can see the value you are going to get it in the count with 0. And then here for setting the values, you should not use this dot set, because count dot set of, let me have 234. So now if you save it, of course it is taking little time to compile the program, and then after 2 seconds it changed to 234. This is all happened, and this is all introduced because of they want to get rid of the zone.js, and for change detection and updating the UI, they are now using their own mechanism, and they are trying with this signal based variables, and they are calling it as reactivity. Okay, now this count variable is a reactive variable. So if this is updated automatically, the signal will take care of updating the UI instead of zone.js change detection. So it is a new mechanism, and it is being used. So now the next point we have to understand is, how do we perform the event, or based on the events, how do we actually change these values, and how do we perform the event handling in this Angular 19. So let us see that in the next part. So let us implement the counter with signals. So to implement the counter, of course, we will have generally increment button and decrement button that will be created here by using button button increment. I'm sorry, and button button decrement. So what to be done with this, we will discuss. Okay, please wait. So here I have to define the methods called increment. So in this increment, I have to update the count value. So this is not regular. This dot count is equal to this dot count plus 1, or this dot count plus plus. This is old change detection mechanism. Now we are using signals, right? So if you are using signal variables, you have to follow this way. This dot count, the variable dot update, this is the method you have to give, and in this method it is expected to be a callback function. In this callback function, the old count value will be passed, and the new count value should be returned. So this should be returned. So if you know the full-fledged arrow functions, then you can actually happily write it like this. But what exactly happening inside that, I wanted to show you this. And when you are decrementing the value, you have to make use of this decrement count -1. And now these two things, these two functions are supposed to be, methods are supposed to be binded with the respective buttons. So there is no on click, we have to use click is equal to inc off. The same way here also for decrement, click is equal to decrement. So now if you observe properly, the counter is here properly, right? So this is the basic. So in this video, I just want to show you how the event handling is possible. And the second point is how the signal based variables are actually updated. This is not the regular updation mechanism. It needs to be little different. Okay. So if you really want to give a value, new value to it, you have to give the update method instead of set method. Set method will be setting the value. Okay. Update method will update the value. So there in the last part, the set method, basically if you use the set method, you are going to get some errors. So here set this dot count plus plus. This is not going to happen because in the same count cannot be used like this. Point number one, count plus one. So this is also not the right way of doing it actually. So if you try to increment, yes, of course it is getting incremented, but the best way is to use update method with the old and new values. Okay, just now I have mentioned. I'll definitely make a video, of course, in the last, how the setter based updates are different from this update based callback functions. Okay, you will get to know there is a difference. Definitely there is a difference with the scope and old value new value kind of things. So this is how we can actually implement the signals. So in the next example, we will see something called to-do list. So in the to-do list, whatever the way you need to understand, we will see that, and then we will go with the other aspects. So in the next video, we will see the to-do list as an example. So the next part we have to understand is how can we perform property binding, what is conditional rendering, what is conditional styling, how can we perform the pipes, how do we manage the data. So for all these particular concepts, it is better to understand the to-do list. Not only that, in this particular example, I am going to explain you how do we refactor the code where we will separate the to-dos from the to-do list, and we are going to introduce you a new signal called model. Now we need not to use the ng model for every case. Okay, so we are not going to, that means we are going to use the, for input properties we are going to use a new signal called model signal. So how do we use these all? I would like to explain with a very simple example, that is called to-do list. So don't underestimate this small thing. In this particular feature you are going to have lot of things, especially the pipes. Even nowadays the Angular is in fact very strict about the data types and all. What kind of problems I have faced while I am preparing this very simple problem, simple stupid mistake. As I was going through something like, I want to make it more simplified, but eventually it entered into something called a complex process. So that is one point. And the second thing is, here the pipes are also developed, and conditional rendering or delete or done, undo, adding a new item, all these things are going to be explained in this particular part of this video. So here we are going to start with especially property binding, or sorry, list generation. We will go from the list generation and then we will go for property binding and conditional styling and all. So without much delay, let us start. So before starting to the adding new item or displaying them, first of all let us take some new items and we'll display them in the UI as a lists. So for that, we generally, what do we do is we will take up something called state variable, and we generally write it like this: to do's is equal to an array of pay bills or get car or something like that. But this kind of approach, I mean, this is a previous way of mechanism. Now we are using signals and kind of thing. So how do we understand and how do we maintain the data as a signal? So that is what the first thing we have to understand. So what do I do is, instead of creating it as a plain array, I'll be using the signal. So just I want to repeat this point once again. This is something like, it is not a crime to use the old mechanism. The only point is the change detection in the old mechanism is taking a lot of performance issues. So instead of that, we are using this signals. So how do we use this signal for a better approach? So directly inside this signal, I'll create some set of values. So later for maintaining the status also I will use them as an object, but for now I would like to use array of to-dos or array of strings as just. So get car, go to gym, which may never happen, or pay EMIs, this is the regular duty, parent. So these are the different possibilities I have, but signal different to-dos I have, but here we don't have signal, so we have to import the signal from core. So now signal, we created a to-do signal which is available. So here in the HTML directly I can just print to-dos. If I say so, it will show you like this. First of all, let me show you. Yes, it is showing as a signal of signal array, but just call that, it will be showing only the array values. But we don't want to display like this, right? We want to display these things as a list items. So how to display them as a list item? So let us take a UL. So for every list item we have to use we have to create, for every to do we have to create a list item. So here there are two approaches. One is old approach with ng for. Watch my previous recordings there, that is available. But now I would like to introduce you new approach, right? @for. So how can I use @for this particular purpose? So the main advantage of this particular entire series is we are going to use all the latest technologies. I am not going to use most of the old technologies. So let us see old techniques in fact. So in the latest Angular, in the modern Angular in fact, we are not going to use ng for as a directive. We are going to use ng @for. So the benefit of this is it is going to be shown similar to the regular for loop. Okay, generally what do we write it in any language? So for open bracket and close bracket. So inside this for we are going to use we need to iterate over the array, signal array. So here to do of to do's and semicolon. So it will iterate over to do's, and each time the value will be passed to this to do, and then we have to use the track to do. So this is also very important. We need to make use of these two. As time progress, whatever we need, I will be keep on discussing about that. So now here I would like to have a li. In this li I would like to use to do here. So now you are able to see all the list items, all the to do's as list items. So is that, hope this is clear, right? Now we have to focus on how do we add the new to do. So for that obviously we need an input box. Beside that, better to have a button for adding to do. So when we click on this button, whatever we have entered in this text box, that will be displayed. Just for some better clarity and all, I would like to put it inside a division. So don't worry much about the styling. Class is equal to p3 so that it will at least look some better way. Right, not more than this. Chalo. So now the point is, how do we maintain this input box? Earlier we used to have at the ng model. Can I use the same thing again? Yes, of course you have to use the same thing. There is no other option in terms of input field. But here we have to create a new model signal. So this is something new for you. So how do I do this? Here new to do is equal to model model of empty string. Of course, model is also not available. Definitely we have to import this model from core. So this is something new. We are not using any what you say, plain way of doing it. For everything we have a proper change detection mechanism, but you may get an error here. The error is ng model is not a known property. Yes, exactly, ng model is not available. So we have to import the forms module and we have to include it forms module. So now you may not get that error. So let us see what is the issue. Reoptimizing the dependencies because of weed config has been changed. Okay, that's fine. Now it is back. So now whatever we are typing over here, something like by home. So this particular by home will be updated in the new to do. Okay, so when we click on this particular add to do, we need to add this particular value of new to do into this to do signal. So how can I do that? Yes, of course I properly binded over it, but now we are going to use the event handling. Of course we are very clear about the event handling. In the last part we have seen how to do that with the counter. So on click I would like to call a new function, new method called add to do, and that method I am going to define it inside this app component. So add to do, open bracket, close bracket, and here I need to add this new to do. Just let us alert what is there in the new to do. So now I just add, so here you can see model signal AKSG. So if you really want to have the value, then just call it new to do 1. You can see this. So this has to be added into this signal array. So this is not a regular push kind of mechanism. We have to use the signal based update mechanism. So here what do I do is this dot todos dot update. So we have to use a method called update. Okay, already in the counter way we have already checked that particular process. So while we are doing it, how do we do this? You update. Earlier counter was a single value but unfortunately here it is going to be a array. It is actually an array. So how do you update the array? Yes, we do get old array, and from the old array we have to return the new updated array. For this you definitely need a new concept called destructuring. Some people may have the idea on this, but just for others I am just using it. I am preferring a return statement with this square bracket. So what I am going to do is in this square bracket I am going to create a new array with all the old to do's as well as the latest to do. So here it is going to be, it is actually returning some error. What is the reason for this error? So type writable signal must have method for iterator. Sorry, there is a small influence of ReactJS minor. So first to get all the to do's we have to call the signal, right? This dot to do's, all the to do's will be pasted over here, and then the new to do, this dot new to do off. So that now whatever I would like, I am adding here, that will be pushed into the to do's signal. So new to do 1. So here it is new to do 1. I think we have done a very decent job over here, but we need more things on this particular part. Let us see this. So the next part is very interesting. Now along with the string, I would like to maintain the status of each particular to do. So to maintain the status of each particular to do, we need to maintain these all values in the object. So here what do I do is I'll create an object with the title as go to gym and status as false, because it didn't happen today. False. So the same way I would like to create multiple to do items, not as a array of strings. I would like to create them as an array of objects. Why I am doing this? Because I want to maintain the state of the array, state of the to do, that is whether it is completed or not. Hope you got this. So here, chalo, yes. So finally I got all the to dos, but here each to do is actually a object. Okay, let us keep this add to do silent for a minute, not totally, only for this particular part. Let us keep this mum for a minute. So now how do you print if I have an array of objects instead of array of strings? So first let me complete this. So here each to do is going to have the object, so I don't want the complete one, to do dot title. So here it will print the values now, right? Now conditionally I want to apply some styling. For example, let us make go to gym. Okay, get car is status is true and pay EMI status is also true. So I want to apply a strike if that is completed. The status true means it is completed. So how can I apply a different style or different style based on a value? So that is comes under property binding. So now you see how do I apply. Generally you can apply style is equal to here color red. So this is fine actually. So all this is going to be there, but I want to apply or I want to evaluate some expression over here. So if you really want to evaluate along with the styling, you have to apply the property binding concept. So with this property binding concept, I can make this double quotes, this particular part as a expression statement. So here I would like to write down something like to do dot status. If it is true, then apply line through. If it is not, just empty. So now if you see line through, line through. Okay, let me okay style is what is line through? Sorry, yeah, text decoration line through. So give these things I made a small syntax. Obviously this is going to throw an error because I am using this colon, right? So I have a better approach for this, especially for property binding and conditional styling. Make use of style dot text decoration. So use that property over here, text decoration, and if the status is true, then apply line through, else leave about in the as it is. So now if you observe here, it will be displayed as line through. Can you see this? Yes. So this is how we can make the text decoration with conditional styling. Okay. So we have different approaches. Not only this, we have something like ng style also. That is beyond the scope of this particular video. Let us continue this. So conditionally I am able to style a particular point. Okay, so this is how we can understand, or we can observe how to use this object to maintain the status of the to do. Okay, let us implement little more complexity, like let us change the status of the to do, let us delete the to do, let us use these kind of operations over here. So first thing, I would like to go with the delete to do. So here whatever the to do item is there, I would like to first put that in a division. Okay, point number 1. So here instead of division, let me go for a span. So here we'll cut it and I'll paste it over here, and I would like to apply this conditional styling to only this span, otherwise the buttons also will get the styling. So now there is no change in the outcome, but yes, we have just modified it. And then I would like to implement a button for delete. So here for every element we have a button, and let us just apply some class with padding, so that you can able to see which is the element and which is happening. Right here also some class btn, so it will be looking like a btn danger. Okay, it looks like a button. And then let us use some padding on the mx, so you can have a space between. Now when I click on this button, I am supposed to delete that particular value or delete that particular to do. How can I actually implement this? So first of all, you can make use of click is equal to delete to do. So how to implement this? So we can call delete to do. After that we have to pass the index of this delete to do. So how do we get the so in this new approach, we are going to have $index property. So we have to give not only where or let I is equal to index. So this I will be maintaining the index of each particular property. So when this is iterating for the first time, I will carry 0, 1, 2 subsequently like this. So that I value should be binded over here, and this should be passed. So once you have passed it, so we don't have delete to do is not existing in our application, in our component, so we need to just define delete to do. So here let me have, of course we have to correct this add to do also, we'll coming back to that. So delete to do open bracket close bracket, and here I am going to have the index with, of course, a number, let it be any, and now I have to remove the value. So how do I remove actually the value from the signal? This is not a normal array, this is a signal, right? So how do I actually remove an element? So here we have to filter out, we have to filter the value, filter that particular to do. So for that I am supposed to do something like this dot to do's dot. So I will be take up the update method of the signal, and in this callback function we are going to get all the to do's, we are going to get it will be passed. So here I have to return the filtered array. So I have to return only the filtered array which is not created, which is created out of after deleting that element, right? So we don't splice it or remove it, but instead of that I will be filtering. Just see the logic, you will understand what I actually trying to do. I will return to do's dot filter off. So each to do will be passed. Every to do I am going to check, of course along with the to do I would like to have the ID index also, so that if that I is equal to index, I would like to return false, else I would like to return true. So anyways, I can reduce the number of lines of code over here, but before that I would like to remove the item. So it is getting removed, so properly it is getting removed. So to reduce this, we can do something much bigger. So for that I can remove all these things, and because directly arrow function will have return statement, so I equal to index. So I and index both are equal, then it returns true. So here not equal. So here if I delete it, yes, it's perfectly deleted. So try like this. If you don't understand, keep that the same thing. And here we were having an error for adding the, let us complete it. Here the error is, earlier we can directly insert the only string. Now it is not sufficient. We have to insert an object with title property that will be coming from new to do, signal, and then status property that will be default false. So now there is no error. We can add new element and it will be displayed. So the next point is, how do we mention the change of status? That means, is it possible to undo the to do status, or is it possible to done the to do status? That means unfortunately I went to gym. Okay, so I had to click on done button, so it should be striked. So how can I create that? So for that, definitely I need two elements. So those two elements will be created over here. First of all, so button button done with the class as btn and btn info. Let us see. So I will have a done button over here. Along with that, I would like to have undo button with something called warning symbol. So these two should not be displayed at the same time. So they should be displayed if the task is false. I mean to say, if the status is false, that means it is not at done. So I need to show the done button. If the task status is true, I should show the undo button. So how can I implement it? Here comes the ng if. So here this button should be conditionally displayed. So here I am showing you conditional display with @if. So now I am not using ng if, I am using @if. So what is the condition? I am supposed to write it over here. If condition is to do dot status is true, then I have to print this particular. Okay, if it is true, then I have to print undo button, not done button. So you can write down else and use this. So now we are going to get the status. Okay, to do's. Okay, no, wait. To do dot status, not to do's dot status. So can you see this? Here I am able to get this undo and done buttons. And when I click the power of if statement, see this power. If so, in the past we were using something like ng if. Now we are not using ng if. It is more cleaner. Now it is more related to JavaScript rather than a separate kind of syntax. Okay, so now many people are actually getting habituated to ng if and ng for. You may like this as well. So just keep on practicing it, you will get to know. After this, you are supposed to implement the action, right? So that is called toggling. So on click, I'll just want to toggle status. So here the same function should be called for both done and undo. and I have to implement that toggle status. So of course I need to pass the index also. So I will be passing the index, which particular element, I mean which particular to do I am supposed to do this. So here there is a small point that is called as toggle status with index. So here actually I am supposed to use the map method. So here of course that is updating the same signal, but here todos dot map, because all the values should be returned. So the same thing. So here I just need to write little more code here. If I is equal to index, then what I am supposed to do is to do dot status is equal to do dot status with not operator. If it is already having true, it should become false. If it is not having true, it should become, and eventually only I want to do only the selected index, and eventually I have to return the to do. So now you can see that when I click on done button, nothing is happening. Toggle status of I, okay, nothing, simple. How I can use on click in this, sorry. So these are all effects of React. So when I click on this, it will call the alert, and now you can see, of course, save this. If I make it done, undo, done, undo, done, undo, done, undo, done, undo, done, undo, you can delete it. So everything is working fine. So this is how I can add a new to do, I can delete a to do, I can modify the to do with its status. All these things I have already mentioned it over here. So now we have to understand how do we filter these to dos. That means I need some radio buttons. So when I have selected one to do, I mean one radio button, it should be showing only done elements, done to dos, something like that. So let us see that the next. So now let us try to understand how to apply filters. So for filters, I just created simple one second, Control Z. Yeah, so here I have created three input fields, three input radio buttons with ng model as a fill. So I have created one fill model signal also. So with that I have created this three input buttons with different values like all, done and not done. So whenever I select any of these input fields, that value will be updated in the fill, and you can call that fill. Of course you can just make use of the fill. So whatever the filter we have applied, that filter will be identified properly. So that this is fine, leave it. So now whatever the value we have selected, that value is available over here. Now instead of changing or writing the logic over here, I have tried to create a pipe like this. So here ng gp t filter. So here I have created a t filter, so that subsequently it created me two files. Of course this is the main file. So here it will be having a transform function. Of course this video is totally for updates, it's not for complete beginners, right? So this transform function you should know, because this is going to receive all the values or whatever the array you are passing under value, and whatever the arguments you are passing as a pipe, that will be passed over here, and we can return those values. Okay, so here I'll just return whatever the values we get, and first I would like to show you how to apply the pipe here. Applied, the pipe name is applied here after this to do's function call, that is the array which is given. So to that array I need to apply this filter, t filter. So now this t filter is not available, so we have to oh, this is available. Acha, symbol dot iterator must be a method. Okay. So here everything is fine. No, it's not fine. So here the point is any, the value can be any. You just give any of array of type any. So I just made it in a simple way. So now by default it is, even after applying this t filter, it is returning the complete array. So now I can pass the values also with arguments. So here I would like to pass the fill value. So whatever the value I have selected, that will be passed. So here this particular fill, that means if I selected the all, the value will be all, and that will be passed into args, and that will be coming as a string. So you have to apply it as a string. This is no more an array, so you can make it as args like this. So here I would like to apply the if else condition. If args, whatever the arguments is coming as a all, I am supposed to return all the values, right? So directly I am returning value. You don't need this. If args is equal to done, then I have to filter only the completed, that means status is true to do's, and only I have to return them. So return value, because that is where we receive all the to do's, value dot filter of, in this arrow function each to do will be coming up, so I will be returning those status. So better I need not to use this. So when I click on done, okay, and by default try to return the value so that there will be no issue. So when I click on done, it is giving me only completed values. So for not done case, so if I have selected not done, then I need to return only not done. So here when I click on not done, it is displaying only not done. When I click on undo, it is displaying done. So let me complete this go to gym also. Now in the done we will have 3, and in the not done we will have only 1. So this is how we can implement pipes, and we can apply the pipes as well. So overall, whatever the filtration, whatever all the possible things I have completed here. But now the last point we have to understand is how do you refactor it. So let us discuss about how can I separate the whole application into different components, and how can I pass the values from one component to another component within this to-do list application only. We need not to go beyond these boundaries. Let us complete this in the next part. Now we need to apply the refactoring of the complete application. Whatever we have done, it is not good to write everything in one component. So especially these components, like each to-do should be displayed as a separate component, and we call it as a refactoring. So if I create a component like this, for example ngg c to do, it will create a folder. Of course, in that folder we will have just HTML, CSS and all. So this component is going to be I just deleted the testing file. This component is going to be the responsible component for displaying these individual values. So whatever we have written over here in this HTML, this entire thing is supposed to be, not this entire thing, each list item is supposed to be displayed as a separate to do item. So but the bigger problem is, how do you display that? How do you pass the values to it? So traditionally we have @input decorator. Based on that we have to create input properties. So through that we have to pass the each to do to that particular component as a input property, and then we have to make use of it. So it is not only about the passing value, it is also the problem of passing these methods. But of course this is little more work, but this is how we have to define or how we have to develop our applications. So now simply I would like to cut this entire list item and I would like to place it inside the to do. So for now, just for few minutes, let us comment out these toggle buttons, because we need the methods, right? That those methods are already in the app component, that is parent component, so we can't use them. So now if I save it, it will not display anything. So first of all we have to pass the value of to do. So for passing, we will be, first of all we will be using that to do component here as app to do, and we have to pass the value as an input property. So this is how we pass this. To do is equal to do. This will be passed, but for receiving these values we need an input property in the to do component. So how to create that input property? For that, earlier we were using some syntax like @input and the property as to do, but now we are not using this syntax. We are going to implement that with input keyword, input. So that I am going to create. It is simplified now. To do, because we need a property with the name to do, because that is what we are using over here, right? So here to do is equal to input of, let us say, any, right? So here I'll make use of any. It is coming as okay. So now this to do will receive, each particular to do component will receive that value, that object as a to do component. And here I would like to use, that is because the name is same, so we don't have any problem. But here the problem we have received is we don't have this. Okay, let us see the problem. Yeah, so here we don't have any problem as such, but somehow we got into this. Okay, actually the problem is not within this input. The problem is actually in the component we are using, this app to do component, right? So that should be imported, and that should be, if we are using some other component, we have to import it here. So to do component. Now if I save this, and then status does not exist. Yes. Okay, we received, that means in the to do we have received it. Let us not use this as well. Let us see what exactly we are getting in the to do. In the to do we are getting as an signal, so we have to use this part now, right? So here I will uncomment this, and now to do we are receiving as a signal, so we have to call the to do as a signal, not as the value. So now all the values are here along with the strike through, all these things. So this is how we can make use of input properties. But how to make our buttons working? Because to do component is not having any logic. We are all having the logic in the parent component. Of course we have to put it in the parent component only, because there we are maintaining all the to do's. So let us see how to implement it. So how to implement that particular functions, or how to implement that particular feature, right? So whatever the methods I have, for example deleting to do and toggle to do, these methods are supposed to be called from the child, that means individual to do component. So for that, what I need to do is, first of all I have to pass the methods to this to do component. So here that should be like a event call. So here I would like to take up as a event passing. So now if I want to access the functions of parent component, I have to pass them as events. So I'll pass them like this. Add, no, not necessary, delete to do is equal to delete to do. But of course, I need an index for this particular value, right? So for that, I need to pass index also as an input property, so that this value will be called, and this, of course, here I is not the same thing, anything is fine. Okay, so here I am passing delete to do. First let me implement the delete to do. After that I will explain you how do you toggle it. So to receive this I index for every to do component, I need to create one more property like input property I with, you can use number or else you can remove this, because by default I am passing as 0. So it will receive the input property, but how do I receive them? How do I receive this method, this particular method? So this is more tricky, because I am receiving it as an event. So for this we need to have a output property. So earlier we used to create like this, output delete to do is equal to new event emitter of something like this. This was because I taught at least more than 50 to 60 batches of Angular in my last 7 years or 8 years. I found this is the most tricky and difficult point to be explained, because why I had to create an output property with a new event emitter, these all have to be explained, and it is unnecessary also. So I need to create an output property as an event. So simply now you don't need these all, you have to import output signal, as well as here I can create delete to do is equal to output of. So basically this delete to do is actually receiving a number, so I'll be making use of number as the annotation. So here this delete to do is actually going to receive the number as an argument. So I am creating like this. So now this is going to be an event. I have to emit it when I click on the button, isn't it? When I click on this button, for example this button, let me reduce the comment. When I'm clicking on this, here it is calling as delete to do. Let me show you del to do of I, del to do of I. So here, here we more need, because I is no more a simple variable, it is an input variable, so we have to call it for the value. So here I will define the function called del to do, and then inside this del to do I will emit the delete to do event with the I value. So you cannot call directly, you have to use emit method for using this, and I need I. Okay, I will receive the index here with a number as a parameter, so I'll pass the index over here. So now you check it out, every delete element we have, when I click on delete, it is getting deleted. So this is how we have to pass the parent methods into the child component, and we have to create an output based event, and then we have to use it like this. So the same way I need to pass the toggle also. So for the toggle also I have to pass it. So here also I am using method binding as an event, toggle to do is equal to toggle to do of I. So just try to practice it. What my classes will be there is, I will make more number of practice examples on input output properties, so that they will be familiarized with it. If you are practicing by looking at the public video, do it more number of times. Okay, if possible I will send you more number of practice examples also, but for now let us understand this. So now toggle to do is also passed. Of course we got an error because toggle to do doesn't have, your to do component doesn't have the toggle to do. So here toggle to do is equal to output of number. So now toggle to do method we have received, and let me define toggle to do. We need to have the index as a number, and then I will emit the toggle to do event by passing, of course I need to by passing this index. So now if as soon as I save it, toggle to do does not exist. I just created it. Toggle to do, yes, let us go to the to do component. Here I have to uncomment this. So this is toggle status. Okay, good. Let me use this word called toggle status instead of toggle to do. So now from app component, what is I am passing? Yes, everything is right, no? Toggle to do doesn't have, okay. This is not toggle to do, this is toggle status, right? So toggle status, yes. What happened in the to do component? Input signal, yes, because these are all new things. So here also we have to call the I off because it is an input signal. Okay, let me restart the server first. Yeah, we may have so many toggle status to do off. Earlier it was a simple property, but not now. Now this is totally fine, whatever we are. So this is how we are able to implement the complete to-do list with all the properties. See how many properties I have covered, right? Input property, output property, refactoring, all these things. So in the coming part we are going to implement a bigger project like e-commerce project kind of thing. We'll implement a cart over there and we'll use the services. Let us see in the next part. Hello, here I am with another feature of Angular that is called services. Especially when we have multiple components which are not actually simply like parent-child relationship like that, when they are actually like a sibling or some other place or some other component, communication between such variety of components or completely distinct component is very difficult. The communication between them is quite difficult. So for that we have to make use of service file, where we will maintain the data in the service file, and then we'll use a observable pattern, especially with subjects or behavior subjects, so that they can be invoked from one place and they will be observed by some other place and they will be subscribed by somebody and they can capture that particular event. So how this is all going to happen, we are going to see in this particular aspect. Of course, this is not quite the concept of observables or subjects or anything. Mostly we are writing the common business logic or the communication based mechanism in one file. For example, when we click on add to cart here, this particular signal or this particular information goes to the common service, and the service will inform this particular cart product in such a way that yes, there is new item added into the cart. If one more item got added into the cart, again that information will be forwarded to the service layer, and the service file will actually inform the other component which is there, like cart component, in such a way that yes, one more product is added. So the latest cart is this, and use this product, this particular cart of items, and show them. Even when we are adding these values, how do we manage this kind of data? This is all possible only by services. So how shall we maintain these services, and how the observable RxJS based pattern will be used here, will be observed in the coming time. Okay, let us see that. So for the basic understanding, let us start from the scratch. So what do I do is, I will, okay, first of all let me commit this code. So if you really want the code, you can observe that code in the description below, and if you have any doubts, you can ask me or contact me through comments below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Let me go back to the main component. In the main component, what do I do is, first of all, I would like to have all these products in a file. So for that, I will create a file called food.json. So here I would like to create some food items. So already in my Git, I have created such food items. Here you can say my JSON data sets. So here cart and food mart bill or something like that, maybe this is, yes, here I have something called items. So oh, this is a very big file. Achha. No problem. Yeah, we'll copy the full code, copy the raw file, and we'll put it here. The only thing is, I would like to remove this bill items, and I will directly have the items. This particular file is having all the, so here, yeah, this is an array of objects, this JSON file. So I would like to import that JSON file into my main file, and I can make use of these data. So if you want data, you can go through this place, or else link also will be given in the description. So here, first of all, let me start creating different different components. Let me create components like nggc products, or products home, or something like this. Otherwise home component, or already app is home component, let it be products component. So where I would like to access these products in the products component, and here in the products component, I would like to import items from dot slash food.json. From that, I would like to import items, but I think there has no exported. Yes, perfectly correct. So here we have to create it, where export const items is equal to, so exported JSON object array literal export. I don't think you need it. Const byte. So here we are supposed to export it as an object with the property name called items. So now this particular format is suitable for importing the items. So use the same way. And here I want to take those data and store into a particular component, a particular property. Here let us not worry about the signal or anything. Let us use normal variables so that you will understand the behavior subjects specially. Okay, you can use the signals also, unnecessary you will get confused. So items, we need items, right? Items are already available here. Let me try to print items. Wait a minute. So here in the component.html, after just chill, I will say app space products. So of course I need to import the products also, products component. So now if you see the output, yes, you got the items, no doubt in it. That means this component is getting loaded. Once this component is loaded, we will write down @for, and here item of items track item, and then okay, if you don't, okay, so here let me have an li with the item dot strmeal, that is the property we have here, strmeal. So that's okay. Yes, I do work both React as well as Angular, so definitely there is a possibility of okay. There is an error here, obvious error. Let me check out what is the error. Here it is saying that items is not a part of, items does not exist on tab. Yes, we have items here. Yeah, items, yes it is there, but okay, items is equal to items. Okay, see this, all the items are listed over here. Nothing, these items we are unable to access that in the HTML page, so I need to do some trick over here. Anyways, that's fine. Now we have to print those items as a separate component. That is what we understood in the last class, that is refactoring. So for that I would like to create a separate component here, nggc product. So each product will be displayed in that component. Instead of displaying it as a list item, I would like to use app product, and each item will be passed as an input property. So please use this kind of approach so that you will be successful in your interviews. So here in the product component, of course I need to create an input property, input of, that is item is equal to input of. So yes, I have an input property, and then I need to use this input property over here. So just use that input property, item.strmeal. So here first thing is in the products component I had to import the product component. So product component, and then strmeal does not exist on type input signal unknown, so we have to mention the data type. So take it any. So yes, now you can observe this. And do I have any error in that? Okay, let us stop it and item.str meal. So here if you have item, I'm using I'm using it as an input signal, so definitely I had to call that. That's the reason. Yes, all the items are actually it looks the same, but actually they are separately displayed. So now each list item I want to display it as a bootstrap card. So let us go to the bootstrap card. Be careful while you are using this. Check the version. Don't forget to check the version. So I'll copy this and I'll use it over here. So card rem, okay. Let's go. Image src, I had to use the property binding. All these things I have already discussed with you. Here item dot, let me check out what is this. Anyways, I need these kind of things only, so let me take up. That is star meal thumb. And then I don't want any alt here, sometimes it will create nonsense. After that I need the name str meal, so this is what I will be using here as a card title. And card image, okay. Do I think category, let us display the category here. Item dot, instead of category, price is better. Price, and then add to cart. So now let us see how this will be displayed. So they are all displaying like this. This is actually good. I don't want any. Okay, now I can remove this. I don't even want the list item. So all the items are displayed. So here in the products component I have to do something better. I will create a division. For this division I'll make the class as dflex, so that all the items will come in that flex wrap, so they will come one after the other. That's really good. And w50, let's not use much. And in this I would like to have some justify content evenly. Okay, so because of width 50 it is able to display only this much. Here I would like to use the style is equal to width is 60%. The whole division is having width as 60%. Okay. Flex wrap justify content even. Okay, I think this is fine. So if you want you can reduce the to 14 rem so that you will have 4. Yes, I think it is good, each division. And then I can apply my2 so that in the y direction you will have. So here I have simple cart items and product items, and I'm ready for that. Okay, how much that is being paid, or that is how much the price of each item, and ready. So now I had to manage the cart separately, right? So for that I will create another component. So now we have to create the cart. So for that again I will create a component called nggc cart. So the cart component will be created, and I want to display that cart component just beside the products part. So here the products HTML, here this division is for 60% of this division is for displaying the food items. Here I would like to take a division with style is equal to width as 40%. So, and here I would like to display cart component, but of course here I don't have the cart component here. I will import cart component and then I'll use that. Let us see how does it look like. So here I don't find the cart component, but downside this you can find a cart works. That means it is there, but both are not coming on the same row. So what I am going to do here is I want to apply a common division with deflex. Inside that I would like to apply it. Now you can observe the cart works, cart is coming on the right side. So this is my plan. Hope you understood what exactly I am about to do. So here I would like to display the cart. So for this, app cart has to be designed, and this cart is supposed to be h3 or something cart. So let us see how does it work. So now let us create the service to actually maintain the cart items. Okay, so what do we do is when we click on this plus cart or add to cart button, this all data should enter into or should store into an array. So after storing into that array, the service should make some event or announcement or notification, or just raise an event in such a way that once it generated an event, this cart product will subscribe it and will display. So let us see how does it do. So let's go back to this code and would like to create a simple service. So nggs that is cart service. So here there will be a file called cart service. Let us not worry about this spec file. So here cart service file is there. So here I would like to maintain the items, cart items. So for that I would like to create cart items is equal to an empty array in the beginning. At the same time I would like to create an behavior subject which will be helpful for us to raise an event. Okay, so cart items or cart event is equal to new behavior subject of, I would like to have an empty array here. I can take a subject also, but initial value cannot be given in the subject. Here I can give a subject. So for the complete details I will make a separate video on behavior subject is and all. Now it is a blockage for it. Let us continue this. I'll create an add item to cart function which will basically receive an item, and what does it do is it will push that item into the cart. So how can I do that? So here first thing is cart items dot push of item. First it will be pushing that item. So here the cart item should be of type any, so better any array. So now it is, After pushing the items, we have to fire an event. So cart event dot next, we have to call it, and in that next I need to pass the cart items, so that whoever are receiving, they will receive that, right. So cart items service is ready. So where I need to use, I have to both use in the product component first thing, as well as cart component. In the product component is for firing the event, and cart component for receiving the event. So here in the constructor, I have to inject that particular service. So public, I'll be using public cs colon cart service. So here I can make use of cart service. So this is for firing it, right? Okay. So as soon as I click on this button plus cart, what is this supposed to be done? Let me make it as button. When I click on it, I'll call a method like add to cart method with this particular item. So item. So now here I will define the function like add to cart, which will receive an item of type any, and from here what I am supposed to do is I have to call that particular service file, this dot cs dot add item to cart. In that I have to pass this item. So then I will subscribe it. I think just call it, that's enough. I just called it, so that it will this item will, the respective item, that is the item what I have on what I clicked on, that will be stored into the cart. So immediately it will fire an event, cart event, with all the cart items. So my cart component has to receive them. To receive, again I have to use the same service under the constructor. So here actually I can create a cart items array, and this dot cart items, I have to update this dot cart items. So here what I'll do is this dot cs dot cart event dot subscribe. So this subscribe method will be called only when the cart event happens. So when we added the cart item into the cart, immediately I am actually firing this event also. After pushing the item into the cart, I am firing the cart event also. So here it will be received the cart items, all cart items, and here this dot cart items is equal to all cart items. So now cart items can be used to display here as individual element. So I'll be using a table here for better display. Class is equal to table and table striped, and here I need t head and a t body. So use the t body. I found a problem over there. th, that is name, th. I will make it better, just for the time being you will make use of this th name. And here for every product on the cart item, every item in the cart item should be looped. So for item of cart items track item. So here I don't think it is needed. I would like to display them in the row. So item, it is not input property, so item dot str mean, the same way item dot, I think, price, so it is, yep, price. So let me see the output here. When I click on add to cart, wait a minute. When I click on add to cart, you can see the dal fry is already added into the cart. When I click on this, kidney beans also there. So cart is being added with a very simple technique called a common service. So now for little more information, I would like to add two buttons for a better view and better up. I want to add the count also, because I might have ordered two matar paneers or some tandoori. I would like to add some tandoori. I have ordered 2 tandooris, so I can do that way, right? So for that, whenever I am adding a new item into the cart, along with that I would like to add one more thing, that is, the very first time I am going to add item dot count is equal to 1. So now in the cart, count will also be there. Actually, by default, the food, every item doesn't have any count, right? So here in the cart section also, I would like to have the price and count. So I would like to display the count also. So here there is a count. So I should able to increase the count in the dynamic way. So I will do something like, I will be creating some buttons, button, button minus and plus. Here click is equal to click is equal to decrement count, decrement item cart item count, and the respective item I have to mention item. So the same way I had to assign the increment item count. So in between I had to put this. So you can see the two buttons. Of course, I don't have right now increment item count. I had to define that decrement cart item count and increment cart item count. So here I have two buttons. Is it compiled properly or I have any errors? Increment cart item count, increment cart item count. Okay. So item of any is also supposed to be given. Yeah. Now when I click on it, you have two buttons. Let me style in a better way, just for your way. So here class is equal to btn warning. Same way btn success. So here I will be having two buttons for increment as well as decrement. The point is, how do I do this now? So eventually I have to update the cart, because the cart details are available only here, right? So here I have to create two special functions like increment item count, the same way decrement item count. I have to receive the item first and in that item whatever the count is there, that should be incremented. Here whatever the item count is there, that should be decremented. After that this should be updated. So for this updation it's not that easy, because I had to map one of the object here. So here this dot cart items is equal to this dot cart items dot map of. So C item, just for the difference. So here what I am supposed to do, that particular item, if item dot id is equal to C item dot id, if the id is matching, then I would like to make that particular item item count, not this item, C item count should be incremented. Okay, that's fine. And then of course return C item. Only one, because this map will iterate all the items, cart items. Whatever the item I have clicked, for that item I want to increment the count, and eventually I will return that item. So this cart items will get the details, and obviously I had to emit the event because the cart is updated. So that the same way here also I need to do. The only difference is I had to decrement the cart count. So these two functions must be called from here. So here this dot cs dot decrement cart count with item as the value. What happened? The same way this dot cs dot increment cart count of item. So the cart event gets will be fired and it will be updated. So you can see this, even after updating this, the dal fry value is not having any problem, right? And finally you need to make the price. So for the total, I mean it is not total, you should be called as I have a bill over here. Even before also I checked this. Right. So rate, they call it as rate, not price, or else amount. Okay, we'll do that. I'll make it as amount, and here I have to create another TD with amount. So item dot count into item dot price. So yes, it's working. And the same way you please maintain the reduce method for the total. So here tfoot tr in the td I can make use of h2 total is. So how do you find the total of all these things? Correct? So here item, okay, cart items dot reduce of 0 and a comma b. Yeah, it's fine. um, return a plus b dot price into b dot count. I think it should work. Oh, missing something. Acha. Okay, 1 minute. So what is happening is directly executing the reduce method inside the UI is not happening. So what do? Is I just make a function call here. So the function will be defined over here, get final price. So here I am applying the reduce method with this logic. So now I am able to see the exactly required thing. So here you can improve the value and total items are clearly mentioned. So this is how I can show you how to apply the how to apply the services for this kind of application. So in the next part I would like to create some details page or something like that, so that I will cover up the routing also, so that we can end this whole series. Okay, so please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I want to achieve some routing now. See here, for that I'm just having all the food items over here. When I click on one particular link, it should able to display all that particular recipe of that baigan bharta or something like that, right? So how do I display all these things is not a matter now. The only thing is I can click on the baigan bharta. When I click back to this food poly or our logo, it should give me back my home page. So this is what I want to achieve simply. So for this I need not to do much complex things. It's a very simple aspect. First of all, even this particular main products and cart, this entire thing is available as all products or some products components. So that should be loaded under a route, that is home route. So for that I have to configure our router module, and rest of the things will be followed. So let us first go and see that. Let me go back to my previous code, that is service demo. Right now, okay, if you are getting some error, please restart the system, restart the Angular application, so that it will show you. Yeah, so this is the picture right now. So this is also supposed to be loaded as a home component, that is default component. So for that, what I am need to do, so before that I just want to add a little pinch of salt kind of thing, that is called as navbar. Let's take bootstrap navbar. So I think this is sufficient. In the header I would like to add this navbar. So here instead of this image, I would like to add a h1 with the food poly. So now I don't get the navbar directly here, it is coming as just chill. So now in the app component I would like to use that navbar as app header. So you may see app header is not available. Obviously I had to add that header component here, and now we get that food poly, and that is clickable, right? That is okay. And moving this to the left, right, this is all fine. If it is having too many things, that's a different thing. Okay, that's fine. Okay, we just added a container,
So let's remove that container, so your food poly is back. And then instead of all these things, bg body territory or bg danger or something like that. Okay guys, whatever it is, we got it like that. Let it continue as it is, and when we click on that, it should be going to the home page. Fine. And text light, yeah, okay, cool. So now I want to load this entire food page as entire body as a path, as a route in fact. So here I need to create the routes, right? So how do I make the routes possible? So here app.routes.ts, don't confuse with app.routes.server.ts. It is for server side rendering pages. Let us not worry about it. We are going to work on routes. In this routes, we have to add the particular routes. When the path is empty, the component I want to load is products component. All products are products component. Where I need to load that products component? I need to load that component in the app.html. So here I would like to use router outlet. Of course, this router outlet also supposed to be imported from router outlet. So yes, we got that. And now we don't need this products component, so you can erase this import section also. Now also we are able to see the products. The difference is earlier products were loaded directly by default in the app component, but now these products are loaded through router. That is the difference you have to understand and observe. Okay, now if whatever the outlet we have in the app component, here all these components will be switched or routed. So now I would like to add something called in each product. I would like to add one more button called button button info. So here whenever I click, I just need to add this router link is equal to / I want to add this ID. Okay, so here comma the name of the item of dot id. Let me show you what is going to be happened. Router link is not available, so here in the import section router link is supposed to be added. So now when I move my mouse on the info, of course if I click on it, nothing is happening. Okay, let me transform that to anchor tag. So now and make a class is equal to btn info. We can have that and make mx2, right? So here now when I move my mouse on this info, you can see something over here, right? The link path. So it is redirecting to the respective path. Okay, so for this particular, that means when I click on it, it is navigated to that particular path. So when I have that kind of path, what I am supposed to do? I have to make product details component. So I want to load or launch the product details component in the same outlet. So here let me create one more products component nggc product details. So I want to load this component when the path is slash colon id. So when we have this kind of path, the component I want to load is product details component. So now let us see. Okay, sorry. So these are all the effects of React. Okay, yeah, now product details works. So that means our products details component got loaded over here. So now what I am supposed to do, I have to do something like, when I click on that, I am able to load the component, but I need the details of that particular recipe. So here in the service I need to write down, of course it is cart service. This is wrong to write this particular function also here, but let us write. So here get details, get item details by id. So when we receive an id, I have to get the details from the details of the product. So here let me import items from dot slash food.json. So I think you get the console.log of items. So this is what we have done, right? Products items. So I am right, I need not to worry about it. Cart service dot. So out of these items I had to give them only one item. So here return this dot, okay, I don't need this, items dot find of whatever the id we are receiving, find of, okay, we'll receive each item here, and okay, let me write down simple way. Try to understand the complex syntax also. If you want more details about this kind of syntax, please contact us. Items.id is equal to id. So item.id equal to id, then return that particular object. So from product details component, we have to do a lot of things. Product details component, we have to pull the particular parameter in the route from the route. So for that I had to use this constructor function with the dependency injection as activated route object. So from this activated route, what I am supposed to do, activated route, as well as okay, fine, first of all let me show you activated route. This dot ar dot params dot subscribe. So here we get params. So first of all I would like to console and show you params. So in the console you can see the id. So let me destructure the id, and that id is going to be passed as an argument to the function from the cart service. So public cs cart service. So this dot cs dot get item details by id, then whatever the value we get, again that should be, that is directly returned, so we have to get the item. So here I will take up the product is of type any, and this dot product is equal to, and I would like to pass null for default. So here if I have product, then str meal in h1. So here something is missing, block have closed. Oh, okay. these are all actually the React issues. Okay, fine. Chicken handy, we got the chicken handy, img src. Let me have a property binding here, product dot thumbnail if product is there. So what is the product dot str meal thumb? So that entire image will be loaded and launched, and the remaining details you can display on the need wall. So this is how we can actually route from one page to another page, and if you want to see back your old cart, yes, that will be available. And now if you want to have more info on this and go back, your cart data is erased, right? So yes, we can able to get that also. On the launch we have to get the data from the cart. So how can I do that? When the product component is getting loaded, no, not this one, cart, I have to load it in the cart. In the cart we are getting the data in the constructor. In the cart we are getting the data in the constructor. So on every route we have to, on every launch we have to do it. 1 minute, let me connect to my laptop. It took little time to diagnose what is the issue, but the issue is not, actually there is no issue at all. My only mistake was in the header I just added anchor with href in the past. So now I just added router link with the default route, so that it is going back to home page. So it is not refreshing the page. Earlier it was refreshing the page, because routing without this router link will basically reload the page. So now I will add my cart and I will edit the cart and I'll go to one home page, and if I back, this data is persistent. So I hope you like the entire process, how I made it. I want to show you so many examples, especially I am not satisfied with my explanation on especially on output event emitter as well as the services, because it needs a lot of practice and clear-cut understanding of what is the syntax and what exactly it is doing. So within 1 hour or 2 hours of tutorial, it is not that easy to cover up. But so many people must have already followed what I actually doing it. For freshers or completely newbies or beginners or novice, it may be, yes, definitely a small problem. So for complete understanding of Angular with lot of in-depth properties and a lot of in-depth issues, whatever we are going to face it in the real time, all those things will be covered along with deployment, Docker, CI/CD pipeline, all these things, backend connectivity, headers, even this HTTP interceptors, lazy loading. There are so many other, even forms, I forgot to mention those forms, all these things. Yes, it's easy to do that only by practice. I will be there along with you to do all the needed practice with more fun. Definitely don't miss my complete tutorial, or don't miss my complete training on Angular with ease. It is almost all 25 hours of practical training, one-on-one training. Hope it will help you to pick up things. Along with this, I'm going to release lot of interview questions. It is not about answers. How to answer is more important, definitely. Okay, so all those things I am going to release, and even I will be giving you all the necessary things in the training sessions also. Hope you are interested. Please contact us for more training with a lot of depth. Okay, see you in the training. See you in the next videos.